Each house in Baltimore to Anaheim and then to Oakland. They return home to Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Tuesday against the Kansas City Royals. Luke Jones is doing double duty. Last week was a lot of draft stuff into the night, and certainly Ozzie kept you on your toes after midnight on Thursday night, certainly. And now the Orioles are keeping us on our toes where it feels like they were going to play all night. Lo and behold, they were gentle enough to go swiftly into the evening in the ninth in Anaheim after midnight, Luke.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the woes continue for this team, and on a night when Alex Cobb looked like Alex Cobb, actually. Pitched pretty darn well. Wasn't dominant, but lots of weak contact, lots of grounders, had a good breaking ball. I mean, this was easily, and all you had to do was look at the stat line to know this, but this was easily the best he's looked.
Is that a Southern California night for him then? Maybe a Tampa Dome night or something like that?
Maybe. I think it's much more just a case of Alex Cobb now getting into a mode where he had 3 starts under his belt. He's had, 5 weeks now since signing with the Orioles, roughly, and he didn't have spring training. There's a reason why these guys report in mid-February for a season that begins at the beginning of April, and I think you look at this as progress, and you look at this as, okay, this is the pitcher the Orioles signed up for. So you hope he continues to go down this path and has more starts like this. But when you manage 1 hit over the first 8 innings of a ball game, well, this is what ends up happening.
Well, that's happened a lot. I mean, and that's a little bit, I don't want to say shocking to me, but I am surprised. I thought they would hit the ball. I really did. And again, part of this is scope, right? I mean, they have missing ingredients. Chris Davis is a missing ingredient. But, to be getting on the verge of no hit or 2 hit or 3 hit as often as they have over the first month, I didn't think this would be a legendarily poor hitting team. I don't know that I saw that part of it coming.
Oh, I don't think anyone could have. I mean, it's one thing to say, yeah, this is a one-dimensional lineup. It's beer league softball. That you'd like to see them have a little more on-base capability. It's one thing to say that, and it's another thing to say you've been one of the worst 3 or 4 offenses in baseball throughout the season, and you're managing, barely 3 runs a game. I mean, it's just that's been surprising. I mean, no one can sit here and say, I thought Chris Davis was going to be that bad, or I thought Tim Beckham before he went on the DL was going to be that bad, or I thought Caleb Joseph was going to hit 135, or I thought Adam Jones would be hitting, in the 230s into May. I mean, you kind of go through that list and you say, okay, maybe there's going to be 1 or 2 guys that struggle, but when you consider really this lineup's had 3 guys contribute on any kind of a consistent basis, Machado's been great, Mancini's been okay, not great, and Pedro Alvarez has given them a nice lift. Beyond that, no one has consistently produced for them, so that has been surprising. And when you consider Tuesday night was, I believe, the 17th time this season they've scored 3 or fewer runs. Over half the time they're managing fewer than 4 runs a game. Even if you expected the starting pitching to be a little bit better with the acquisitions they made, that's still not good enough. And then you throw in the defense, Machado with the blunder in the Angels' 2-run 6th inning. You throw in the fact that the bullpen, another disappointing outing for Brad Brock. And I want to get into that a little bit more because I had a major issue with what Buck Showalter did there. But you just go down the list, and it's been everything. And that's why it's tough for me to nitpick one little aspect, whether it's the utility infielder or whether it's who's playing right field.
Well, I'm telling you, I did that for 15 years, Luke. I mean, I sat here for 15 years, and they were irrelevant in April and May. And you can't bitch about Brad Brock not being what you would have done, on the road in the 9th inning of a tie game, and all the walking of Trout and Machado bumbling the ball around. I mean, anything that happens in a specific game when you're 8-21, I mean, it's a tree falling in the woods to some degree because you could only bitch about an 8-21 managerial maneuver or 3-pitch strikeout or a 1-hit over 8-inning thing on a day-by-day basis for so long, and then it becomes lacrosse season or football season or movies coming out or you're watching a wrestling matches on Monday night or, there's just other things people move on to in 2018 other than to micromanage what's really going on here. But this is, and I know not everybody's up late night watching them when they're out in Anaheim when they're like this, but man, this is really when you get judged, when you stink like this. I mean, are you running out ground balls? Are you putting in effort? I don't know that anyone in the media is going to be harshly criticizing lack of hustle or lack of want or whatever on a team that, quite frankly, this is going to be a real test for all of them, right? For Adam Jones, for Buck Showalter, for Chris Davis, for all the veteran types around here, and also for the Dylan Bundys to go out there every fifth day and take the ball and be a professional, right? I mean, when there's not much more at stake other than, well, let's try to win tonight, because that's where they are at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, it comes back to being a professional. I mean, the one thing I'll say about this team, I haven't really questioned the effort all that much. They've just been really bad. And do I think they're going to be better at some point in time? Yeah, because I don't think they're going to lose 115 games. Now, I'm starting to think more and more that 100 could be possible, especially when you assume there's probably going to be a sell-off of some level by the trade deadline.
Well, it's going to be difficult to avoid 90, and then once we go there, the road gets slippery, right?
Sure.
And that does come back to my point of who's going to be in the lineup in August and September, and how hard are they going to be trying, and they're going to futz around with this Machado trade thing, and they're out in L.A. to begin with, so I can't imagine that the Dodgers media is not descended upon the clubhouse down there to sniff around a little bit, and, Machado's going to have a lot to hear, and everywhere he goes, he's going to hear it and feel it and see it. And I'm not even convinced they're going to deal him. I mean, I never know what the hell they're doing. I don't even know who's running the place, Luke. Neither do you, really, right? We don't really know who's would even make that decision. But that's what's on the fans' mind right now, not what Buck's doing in the bullpen tonight or what the Norfolk shuttle is. I think it's what are we getting from Machado and how is it going to make us better in 2021? Literally. I mean, that's all I see. It's not how we're going to get back in the race this year. That's gone, man.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to play at an unbelievable clip to even get back to 500 at this point. But I mean, we can't just talk every single day. Where's Manny Machado going? I mean, they might not make a move for another 2.5 months.
Or not at all.
Even if they are going to deal. I think they're going to trade him at this point. I mean, I don't think there's going to be that, well, what if we go on this kind of a run, we could still get the second wild card. I mean,
it would be more confirmation that Peter's not running the place, right? I mean, I always think of this place as so effed up. Half of my life it's been this way. I'd hate to think that our government ever becomes acceptable the way it's been the last 15 months, but we've accepted this for 25 years, and now all of a sudden, if he's not making the decisions anymore, it kind of breaks the paradigm of what may or may not happen here, right? Like, the Alex Cobb thing was like, $53 million to a pitcher the week before opening day? We don't do that around here. Well, we do now. So I really do think all bets are off. I mean, from that point, that Michael Jackson meme where you're eating the popcorn before Thriller, that's kind of where I am for some of this, but it's not for what are they going to do with the starting, are they going to bat Davis leadoff tonight in Anaheim? I'm really not into that part of the drama at this point.
Well, but there's still games being played.
A lot of them.
We got to talk about them. So, I mean, we can't just have the same discussion every single day, but it is frustrating. I mean, it is, no one wants to be sitting there 3 hours and knowing that you have a baseball team that has no chance to get back in the race, and that's what this is looking like more and more. I mean, but you do look at Tuesday's game. You do take a positive out of Alex Cobb looking more like Alex Cobb because he's going to be here for the next 4 years. So that was good to see. Getting back to what I was saying about the bullpen in the ninth inning, and I will take Buck Showalter to task here. I don't know why he took Richard Blyer out of the game. He had 3 days off, hadn't pitched since Friday, had gotten the first out of the ninth inning, had only thrown 15 pitches. At that point in time, you're aiming to extend the game and put it in extra innings. So why are you in such a rush to bring Brad Brock into that situation when Brad Brock has frankly been bad? He hasn't had a good season and hasn't been the guy that he's been in the past. So that one, and you know me, I don't nitpick, second guess too many situations unless it's pretty obvious, because I think there's always more information that the manager has than the media and fans can have observing. But I think in this case, I really don't get why Richard Blyer's taken out of the game, because he's been their best reliever. Say what you want about Brock and O'Day and Zach Britton when he comes back and what Michael Givens has done, since being called up 3 years ago, Blyer's been their best reliever. So that's one where I look at that and I really scratch my head. And Buck was kind of asked about it by Gary Thorne in the post game, and basically said Blyer had done his job, and Brad Brock was capable of coming in and doing his job, but he didn't do it. So you just run down the list. Bad offense, bad bullpen. Starting rotation has been really good when it's been good, and really bad when it's been bad. So you just go down the list, and the defense, Manny Machado with a head-scratching kind of a play that led to the first Angels run. I mean, it's just a whole lot of bad going on right now. And, I guess Mark Trumbo coming back wasn't going to be the cure-all for this team's offense, and he goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts in his 2018 debut.
Well, and then they wind up losing the game into the middle of the night. I guess doing everybody a favor to to not extend the thing all night long. But and I guess for the bullpen as well, which is, I guess his answer for the Blyer thing would be, we have games the next 6 nights, right? Like I guess, and this is what the role is, but this is the way they play it, right?
Yeah, well, and again, I'm not buying that. I mean, Blyer threw 15 pitches. Believe me, I'm not saying to have him throw 2 more innings and he's at 45 pitches and then he's out of commission the next 4 days. I mean, think about it. The way he was going, the way he's gone throughout the season, 2 outs, I mean, that's going to be, another 8 to 10 pitches? He would have been available for Wednesday night's game without problem. So I don't get that, but, I mean, the real issue is, you can't trust Brad Brock the way you've been able to in the past. And Darren O'Day's been shaky, although for the most part he's been more good than bad.
Well, Blyer's the one you trust right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, right. And there was a case where he was in the game and had barely thrown that many pitches, and you already knew you were going to be playing the 10th inning if you get out of the bottom of the 9th, so it's not as though you're trying to use up your bullpen right away. In that scenario, so I just even talking about that, the Monday morning quarterbacking, that's still one I look at it and I don't really get that. But long story short, the rest of the bullpen just it hasn't been very good. I mean, Castro's been solid for the most part. Like I said, Blyer's been terrific. He's been one of the Orioles' 3 best players so far this season, and. O'Day, a little more up and down. Brock has just been bad. Givens, until recently, has been bad. So, it's tough enough when you're trying to endure without Zach Britton, a 2-time All-Star closer. But when you have 3 guys that you've counted on a ton over the last 3 to 4 years, and in some of those cases a little bit longer than that, and they're not doing what they typically do, well, it's going to be darn near impossible. And then, you throw in all the other problems on this club, and you wonder why they're 8-21.
Hey, I'm a little lost on Britton. When and where is that All-Star gamey? Like, what are they saying about? I mean, again, they're 8-21. I mean, I couch everything by saying what really matters here, and how deep of a dig we need to do.
I mean, but this is something that really matters.
Yeah, getting him back and being able to get 2 bags of donuts for him by July 31st, right?
Yeah, well, and he's actually doing really well, and it sounds more and more like he's going to be back in early June. He just got the clear. He was seeing his doctor out in California this week. He's been doing mound sessions. He's been doing pitcher fielding practice. PFPs in the baseball world, and he's been doing really well. And it sounds like he's getting official final clearance this week to kind of be all systems go.
He'll be pitching in the World Series this year.
Possibly.
Hey, well, I mean, that's part. I mean, in his mind, right? I mean, get back, get 12, 15 appearances over 6 weeks, and and then away we go. But then there's also the thing we're seeing with Cobb, which is take the hill too quickly, and you have no value at all, right? Or get re-injured, have no value at all, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Britton's kind of an interesting case here. Over the offseason, obviously, when he tears the Achilles in December, I thought there was an argument that could be made that a 2-year contract could have been good for both sides. The Orioles could have gotten an extra year out of him and potentially either dealt him at the deadline or then dealt him next year when he's back reestablishing himself as one of the best closers in baseball, ideally. I thought for his side, certainly going into free agency, you don't want to be in a year where you're coming off of an Achilles and maybe slow to reacclimate yourself, et cetera. But they didn't do that. He's on a one-year contract through the end of this season, and if he comes back in early June, there should be a reasonable thought that he, with 6 or 7 weeks to get himself ready to go, just from a major league game pitching standpoint, that there should be, I would think, a market for his services if he pitches reasonably well. So, that's been good news on that front. Certainly when he injured himself right around Christmas time, right before Christmas, there was a thought that this guy even going to pitch again for the Orioles. But it's gone really well. He should be starting a rehab assignment probably sometime in the next couple weeks, and he'll have enough time to build up some innings in the minor leagues and kind of go through his pseudo spring training. And then, again, the thought is he's eligible, I believe it's May 28th, May 29th off the top of my head. It sounds like it's going to be very soon thereafter, if all goes well between now and then, which, of course, we still have about 4 weeks to go until that becomes a reality.
He is Luke Jones. He is Baltimore Luke out on Twitter and Luke at WNST.net. All of our WNST programming this week brought to you by our friends at the Baltimore Brigade. They're playing Arena Football League action on Friday night. Ron Jaworski's going to join us here later in the week to talk about the Philadelphia Soul and the Baltimore Brigade. I'm wearing my Brigade hat on my Facebook Live here, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. You can learn more by downloading the Monumental Sports app. Still plenty of football ahead. I watched Randy Hippert throw it around last Saturday down at the Rofo Arena. And it's quite action-paced and fast-paced and lots of scoring and lots of throwing, no punting. It's Arena Football League action. They got some games down at the former Baltimore Civic Center, then the Baltimore Arena, now the Royal Farms Arena. I got the Kona blend in my cup. I keep hearing about this Brazilian dark roast. I'm going to have to be checking that out. I'm a dark roast guy. Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast. Make sure you're downloading that app and using that when you're pumping the gas at your Royal Farms. You'll add up points. You'll be able to use that for fried chicken, which I had for dinner on Monday night, Western fries, or maybe even some coffee in your cup each and every morning. Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast, and right around the corner from you. The Modell Lyric is our partner on Thursday. I'm going to be down watching Jackson Brown. My wife figured out how to stream hockey on her iPhone. This makes me very, very dangerous at a Jackson Brown concert on Thursday night. Let's go Caps, Game 4, Rock the Red, all that stuff. I will be at the Modell Lyric. You can learn more about everything that's going on there, including William Shatner. That William Shatner, yes, Star Trek. They're doing a film screening 2 weeks from now down at the Modell Lyric, and William Shatner's going to be there for a Q&A. Learn more about that at modell-lyric.com. Also, Steely Dan, my 50th birthday week in October, as well as Kansas, the band. Dust in the Wind, Carry On, My Wayward Son, at the Modell Lyric coming in the fall. Also, Howard Bank, a relentless commitment to being the best at everything they do, of course, sponsoring our Be More Positive charity and community series. If you have a charity or community event, a golf tournament, fundraiser, doing something good, the folks over at St. Ursula's were with us last week. We have tried to shine a spotlight on local issues and good stories. Our friends at Howard Bank are partnering with us, as well as our friends at Cole Roofing. And Billy Cole will be with us here. You'll find that up in the buyatoyota.com audio vault, giving a full breakdown of all Ravens draft picks, fun, Orioles issues, and Billy and I get together once a week. He runs Cole Roofing. He's one of my sports buddies. Cole Roofing is a corporate and commercial roofing outfit. They've only been at it 99 years, that's all. Next year is their 100th year. Same as my mom, 1919. My mom and dad were born in 1919. Cole Roofing, born in 1919. So we'll be telling you more about them, as well as our friends at Pizza John's, where I watched at least the early part of a victory. Maybe I should go back to Pizza John's every night if the Caps are going to win every night in Pittsburgh and play the way they did on Tuesday night. But we went to Pizza John's. You know what the good news is? I have leftovers. I can eat the leftovers before Jackson Brown on Thursday. I think that's what I'm going to do. And that's really, really pissing Luke Jones off because he lives in Shrewsbury, and Pizza John's is not around the corner from you, right, Luke?
That's right.
I did not get the meat sauce.
A little bit of a trek for me, but well worth it.
Can I do a Pizza John's rant here for a minute? Because I went in on Tuesday night, and I've never had the ravioli there. And I know they make it on premise because I've been in the kitchen, right? I took Brian Billick there a couple years ago. I've seen the Guy Fieri stuff and all that. I know what they do there, right, behind the scenes. And I had the ravioli. It was phenomenal, man. It had 3 meat and 3 cheese. And I can't tell you I like one more than the other, but the sauce has a little spice to it, and it's the same type of thing with the meat sauce. Has a little bit of a bite, just a little tiny spice, like 1 to 10, maybe like a 2, but it really added something to the ravioli. So that's my ravioli minute for you at Pizza John's. Back River Neck Road, 50 years. Luke, I want to throw this opportunity, this lifeline to talk football for 2 seconds with you because I know they're going to play into the middle of the night and we're going to see Dylan Bundy pitch, so we should all stay up. If you're going to stay up late one night, make it Wednesday night because it won't be that late tonight because Dylan Bundy's pitching. But on the Ravens side of things, has the thing settled in here? I mean, they're going to be rookie mini camping all weekend. All these guys are going to be around this weekend. We're going to get a chance to look at 12 of these guys, plus the undrafted guys, plus the German fullback, which, my wife's savior, Niels, thinks is pretty cool. They signed this German kid. But there is more heat on the football team. Every single day, you and I are going to talk baseball, and they're going to be 9-24 and 11-31, whatever they're going to be. And we're all going to go back to what's going on with the football team because I think that's where we are right now, right? It's Machado and the football team. That's the story here.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about that's changed from 3 days ago, but they're going to have rookie camp this weekend. I think this is going to be the most anticipated rookie camp, arguably, that they've ever had. When you can, you at least go back to 2008, and obviously a little bit different environment than last CBA, but with Lamar Jackson out there running around, throwing passes, and but it's always exciting to see all the draft picks. But when you have a first-round quarterback, that's going to be notable. I would anticipate there might be even a couple national media folks at rookie camp, which is something that frankly has not been the case for a number of years. As this team hasn't been as relevant nationally speaking over the last 4 to 5 years. So I think it's going to be interesting. And once we get into OTAs and the Ravens put out their OTA schedule, where they let the media out there a few times, and then they have their mandatory minicamp in mid-June. But all eyes are going to be at the quarterback position. There's no question about this. This is going to be the most scrutinized Joe Flacco has been during practices in a long, long time. And Lamar Jackson, every move he makes, people are going to be watching. So it's definitely interesting. To your point, there is going to be more of a thirst, as much as there can be this time of year once you get out of the draft and knowing that there's not going to be a whole lot more done to this roster beyond some secondary type moves. As far as guys, the Ravens claimed a safety off waivers from the Browns on Tuesday, for example. You're not going to see major acquisitions made anymore. So I think at this point now, you kind of see, okay, what happens during OTAs? And then obviously once we get into training camp and the preseason, those preseason games are going to be far more interesting than they've been in a long time because, one, everyone wants to watch Lamar Jackson, and two, what's that going to mean for Joe Flacco as far as how he looks? And even if Lamar Jackson's out there running around against third-string guys in the second half, you know very well if he puts up big numbers and looks really good, fans are going to be asking questions and saying, Joe Flacco, what are you doing? So there's going to be plenty of that, and the Ravens created this. So
well, and there's also no hope for the baseball team in June or July other than when they're going to deal Machado. So this becomes the only soap opera that matters. And I think it's unfortunate that Joe blew off Jameson and Schmuck, and I was down there at the Harbor, that he just didn't say something like, I knew they were drafting a quarterback. I'm cool. We've always had somebody else in here, and that would have been the end of it. Instead, he sort of dangled it out. I don't know that was good for him. Now there is a buzz around whatever Joe is going to say, and that's not going to matter on September 6th when they're laying the game plan down for the Bills. It's really not, right? I think a lot of it is the buzz for the fans and wanting to see Lamar Jackson, and I think it'll add a little extra salt for the Canton football game, right? And this extra preseason game and whatnot that he's going to be running around. But from the fan standpoint, it does become the Real Housewives of Owings Mills. It really does.
Well, there's no question about it. And I hear what you're saying. The buzz wasn't going to die down even if Flacco talked on Saturday. The Ravens have created this, and so they better be ready to deal with it, quite frankly. Because you laugh, but
This is a stress that we've never had on this bridge. This is a different kind of storm coming in here that we haven't had here. Right? I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't know how Harbaugh burrs up about all sorts of stuff. I'm sure he's not going to want to be asked questions about his backup quarterback. Right?
He's going to be asked about it a lot, and every time a national media member comes in, he's going to be asked about it. So they better be ready to deal with that. Because,
when's Lamar playing? Joe was only 52% last week.
Sure,
and 12-point victory.
Are you going to get Lamar Jackson on the field? One, because he is your quarterback of the future. Two, he's a great athlete, and you better try to utilize his skill set a little bit.
When are you going to put him in a wide receiver? Well, he doesn't want to be a wide receiver. Go ask him. He's told everybody that. Well, we drafted him. Yeah, okay. Well, there you go.
But there are other things you can do to get him involved besides being a wide receiver. They did this with Tyrod Taylor back in 2013. Remember when Flacco called it a high school offense?
Joe didn't like it. Yeah, Wildcat, right?
But he doesn't. He clearly isn't going to have the clout to. I wouldn't think to say things of that nature, especially when it's a guy that they just drafted in the first round. So,
but he's already said it.
Like I said, they better be ready to deal with this because it could end up getting a little circus-like at times with some of this stuff.
Well, the thing that makes it circus the first time you lose, the first time the water gets
at the top of the list, the first time Flacco throws a pick in a big spot, or the first time the offense goes 3 and out, 3 series in a row. Whether it's week 1, week 5, or week 17, fans are going to be saying stuff. And look, that doesn't mean that how the fans react should dictate what you do with your football team, but that's going to be part of the narrative here, and it's going to be part of the reality here. And to the point as far as it getting a little circus-like, I already saw pictures from the draft party down at the Harbor. And look, it wasn't everyone, but I saw someone who had a Joe Flacco jersey with Jackson taped over the Flacco name. This is what we're gonna be seeing, this kind of stuff. So the Ravens, like I said, they better be ready to deal with this on a number of levels. And to your point about Flacco, could he have talked Saturday? Yeah, probably would have been a good idea to do that. At the same time, do I think that makes everything go away? And do I think that's the last time he's asked about Lamar Jackson until week 3 or until the preseason? No, he's going to be asked about Lamar Jackson probably close to every time he takes the podium for the time being, at least until they get into games starting. And if he's playing well, then the questions about Jackson will stop. If he isn't playing well, then the questions will be, are you feeling more pressure because Lamar Jackson's there and all of that. So there are going to be a ton of layers to this. And like I said, the organization better be able to handle it because there is nothing that can fracture a locker room more quickly than a quarterback controversy, and there isn't one right now. Not trying to portray that there is, but very well if this team starts out 2-4 and Flacco's not playing all that great, the offense isn't playing all that great, very well there's going to be individuals in that locker room that are at least wondering if Lamar Jackson can do any better. And
we'll get the best out of Joe Flacco. I have no doubt about that. I have a feeling Joe's going to answer the bell. That is my formal prediction. And I think that's Eric DeCosta and Ozzie Newsome's and Joe. I think everybody in the building thinks he'll answer the bell. I really do. I don't.
We'll see.
Okay.
If they really thought that, I don't think you draft a quarterback in the first round. If they did think that, I kind of question this even more than I already have. But we'll see. They have added. They've changed their wide receiver room. We'll see if it's better. Certainly, we heard from Willie Snead on Tuesday. He said all the right things, and they've added a lot of diversity in terms of the skill set of their wide receivers. They've added 2 new tight ends who will be rookies, so I think it's important to keep that in mind. But I think or at least you hope that the changes made to the offensive side of the ball give Flacco a better chance to be better than he's been the last few years, and we'll see what happens after that. It's definitely going to be interesting no matter how this plays out.
He is Luke Jones. He's Baltimore Luke out on Twitter and our correspondent for all things bird watching. Purple and orange. Orioles up late with Dylan Bundy. And, of course, the Ravens will have a little rookie minicamp going on this weekend. We'll be covering all that. Any breaking news happens first on the WNST Tech Service. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis Colossus will be here on Thursday. No one more excited to talk draft than Dennis. He'll be here from 3 until 5. The SSV on WNST. You can also find our morning newspaper in in your email inbox digitally each and every morning. It's all brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where we're all getting in shape now that it's 86 degrees outside. It's awesome. PlanetFitness.com and Planet of Triumphs if you need a little spring or almost feels like sandal and summer inspiration for you there. The BuyAToyota.com Audio Vault is there 24 hours a day for you. From anywhere in the world to listen to any of our incredible draft breakdowns on the backside of things. I got some good stuff up there. Had an incredible chat with Desmond Child, one of the greatest songwriters of our generation. Long chat with him from down in Nashville earlier in the week. You can check that out in the BuyAToyota.com Audio Vault as we do some music around here as well. I'm going to be down at Laurel on Saturday for the Kentucky Derby. Probably having a mint julep. Probably having a black-eyed Susan, certainly having a crab cake, no doubt about that. My wife and I are going to get gussied up and do that on Saturday before Game 5 of the Pens and the Caps. So hope to see you down at Laurel for Kentucky Derby action. And don't forget, we're 2 weeks out now on the Preakness and the run for the black-eyed Susans. And the winner of the Derby will be shipping to the barns at Old Hilltop in Pimlico. Last weekend for the meet in Laurel, on to Pimlico next week. All the entries up at WNST.net as well as in our morning newspaper. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.